So finally, Konami decided to release Cocytus from the ban list. It's been like 3 years or something since this card was last legal. So the question is, how good is it in the modern era? How good is it Invoked in general? Well, to answer that question, we're going to need a water archetype in order to summon the Cocytus. Now in Duel Links, decent water archetypes are kind of hard to come by, especially considering the main water archetype is pretty heavily skill restricted. But there is one water archetype that's been performing very well in recent KC Cups and tournament play, and when I combined that water archetype with Invoked, I went 17-1 straight into King of Games. So here's today's deck list. But before we get into the deck list, just a reminder, if you guys are enjoying this kind of content or see some more deck lists and more videos from me in the future, please remember to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Alright, let's jump into this deck list. So today's deck list is obviously going to be your Invoked Nekroz of Fleur. So the question is, why have I chosen to play Invoked in this archetype specifically? Well, like I said during the intro, there realistically isn't very many decent water decks that can compete with the current meta inside of Duel Links. There is Shark, and then there is Nekroz, and everything else is just sort of, it's not very good. And Shark is heavily locked behind a skill, so the only other option is realistically Nekroz, which thankfully turns out to be a perfect fit for this archetype. Because not only does it play water monsters, but has very easy access to things like your fire monsters and your links, or things like your dark monsters thanks to the Fleur cards themselves. And the other main reason it's so goddamn good at Nekroz is this archetype by itself just does not need a normal summon whatsoever. Before this, the main sort of meta builds for Nekroz, instead of playing Aleister, they play something like a Manju or something here, which is just... Manju is not that great of a card. Manju is really good, but Manju is just like... It was just sort of a filler card, just like that you can normal summon, just so you can use your skill and turn it into a Synchro and whatever else. So you can just cut that card completely, replace it with an Aleister, which is a much better monster that can go into some really cool fusion monsters, and we just have probably a much better deck list. I'm not sure if it's actually going to be better than the sort of meta variants of Nekroz that currently exist, but when I played it, it felt really goddamn good. The synergy just felt really, really strong between these two archetypes. Now as for the cards in the deck list itself, I'm basically just not going to bother going through the deck list considering all these cards are really, really old by now, so I think most people watching this know what these cards do, especially considering like the entire Nekroz Fleur build has been pretty top tier for a long time now, at least a rogue top tier sort of deck list for ages, so you guys all know what that does. And Invoked, that was meta for god knows how long, ages ago, so most of you guys probably know what these cards do. But if you have any questions about the deck list or something you want to know, feel free to leave in the comments down below and I'll respond to them down there. But yeah, you guys know what this stuff does, so without further ado, let's just go check out some gameplay. Alright, so I think you guys are going to really enjoy these replays, as like I said at the start of the video, I was just shit stomping with this deck list. I went 17-1 with it, straight into King of Games with a 10-game win streak and then a 7-game win streak before that. So this deck was doing really goddamn well on ladder, so yeah, I think you guys are going to really enjoy these replays. We're going to start off doing a bit of reverse order today, starting off with the King of Games rank up match and going backwards, because I got way more Invoked sort of replays towards the end, and more Nekrozy stuff towards the start, and I think you guys are here for the more, Invoked stuff, so we're going to show off them first. Alright. So this is the 10th game of the win streak for Legend 5 straight into King of Games. Up against Zombie. With a very decent hand, actually. We've got a Searcher, we've got a Pop, we've got the normal summon, the best normal summon in the deck, so we're good to go. Alright, gonna be popping his field spell. He uses a Super Poly. Thank god we drew the sausage, or this would have been a very hard duel to deal with. Alright, summons out the Dragon. I'm always surprised this card this card's actually just not a zombie, it's a dragon. It just feels really weird, but anyway. Alright, his very shiny rarity, banishing my card from the field. Aleister gonna be searching for Invocation, of course. Then we can place a Tuner on the field. These two become a Stardust charge for an extra draw. This, of course, will also summon our level 1 to the field. These two become Knightmare. Whole reason I'm summoning Knightmare is because it's a fire. I want a fire for Purgatrio. Alright, summoning back the bulb. These two can become a Knightmare Unicorn to remove one monster. Brionac can be searching for your Shurit. Preparation of Rites, grabbing Clausolas. I'm probably butchering the shit out of these names, but anyway. And we can ritual summon using the card in hand, the ritual monster in the graveyard. God, Nekroz is such a good ritual archetype. This is what I wish Cyber Angel was, man. It's so goddamn good. We're getting a search as well for potential follow-up. Bouncing one of his monsters, Invocation to summon out the Purgatrio. Then, of course, we can recycle back that Aleister using the Invocation to boost up the Purgatrio, which also does piercing damage, and yeah, he's already conceded. Alright, so that's a very nice looking first game. It really sets up just a lot of the stuff this deck can do. So, Aleister just, to me, it feels like a significant buff for the deck, I would say. I do think it does seem better than just playing a Senju anyway. I think Manju is obviously already just a really good normal summon, but all the other normal summons that Nekroz had before were just really, really mid, so... I think the only main downside of playing this in Nekroz is your extra deck space does get taken up a bit by playing all the new invoked monsters, but it's not like Nekroz really need the extra deck anyway, it's just the fluid side of things. Oh, this is a funny duel. There is a Spectral sorted by opponent's graveyard. It's a fire type. Wow, I wonder what's going to happen to it this game. So you guys that are not used to playing Invoked, Invoked's ritual or fusion spell can use your opponent's graveyard for material. So you do the same thing as last time, except we can make a Crystal Wing this time. Or Clear Wing, sorry. Alright, Brionac, grab an Valkyrus, just in case. Generally, your typical turn 1 play for this deck is you just want to get a Valkyrus in hand, your level 7 on field, and then either summon out a Cocytus, or you summon out your Caliga to, or whatever this card's name is, to your field. And that's sort of your turn 1 setup. You got some negates, a potential floodgate, or just a card that's really hard to out. Plus a hand trap where if your field gets dealt with, you just stop your opponent's battle phase anyway, so they can't do anything. So that's typically your turn 1 setup. But right now, we're going to do something different. We're going to use our opponent's fire monster to summon Purgatrio, just because we know, yeah, if this isn't in the graveyard, they're going to have a much harder time. Alright. Most decks in Duel Links anyway can't even deal with just the Valkyries ending their turns. There's just no way they kill you. It's pretty rare they have something that actually just outs it, or something that can prevent you using it, like a negate. Negates like Crystal Wing aren't that popular, really. Unless you're in like Wind Witch or something. Alright, Squire Saga, we're gonna negate that, of course. And I think he just sort of, yeah, he sort of concedes. Alright. Just bullied some poor Shiro player there. Alright. I think these are a couple more turn 1s. These are proper turn 1 setups, I think. Or I might be talking out my ass. This might have been going second, actually. Yeah, it was. Alright, and I believe this was a incredibly brick hand. I think it was this duel. No, it wasn't. Never mind. Ignore me. Up against a what am I saying? The, what's this dumb art type's name? Unchained, that's it. Alright. Alright, so let's make a Soul of Rage. I was a brick hand, so there is not many, like, super brick hands with this deck, other than, of course, the classic, you open both Necro Synchron, which, if you open both of these, it turns off your skill almost completely, so very cringe hand. Let's see what we can do with it. Alright, searching the Brionac. Brionac searching for the Clausolas. Clausolas searching for the Ritual spell. Normal summoning so we can turn into a copy of Knightmare Phoenix. Getting rid of some of that back row. Hitting an Ice Dragon's Prison. Not sure why he didn't chain the Ice Dragon's Prison just to summon a monster to the field. He wouldn't be able to banish anything, but I don't know why he didn't just summon something, because this can just be used like a monster reborn, right? Yeah, I don't know why he didn't just summon something anyway. Alright, Knightmare going to be spinning this, or forcing it out at least. Summons out an Unchained Abomination. Alright. Ritual summoning out the Nekroz of Brionac. Let's try to remove it. And of course, this triggers an Ice Dragon's Prison again! Very unfortunate, actually. And now we are just praying. Because we can't... This is a misplay, by the way. I should have searched for the other Ritual spell. But now we are just praying he draws a Spell or Trap card here. And thankfully he actually did. We're living on 200 life points. And we drew Aleister. Perfect top deck. Alright, using the Escape of the Unchained, popping my card, getting my Invocation in hand. Discarding, grabbing Clausolas. And this is why I was a bit of a misplay. If I searched in the previous turn, searched the other ritual spell, I could have just lethaled him here. So, or at least ritual summoned here. Maybe not quite lethal. No, probably not lethal. So, yeah, slight misplay. Alright, we're going to summon out a Cocytus. And add back Aleister. So, funny thing about Cocytus in this matchup is, I don't even know if they could properly out this thing outside of trying to beat over it, and we've got Aleister in hand, so they can't even do that, because, yeah, this thing's untargeted when destructible, its entire archetype's about destruction effects, and even the link monsters are all target stuff, right? So I don't think they can even out this Cocytus. With Aleister in hand, that is, so we can actually boost its stats up. Alright, so I might have been able to lethal him this turn, but I had very low on time, so I just sort of went with the safe sort of options. Just searching for this card so I know I can't die on future turns in case he does somehow out the Cocytus. Yeah, I just did very safe sort of stuff here. Signing Purgatrio, getting rid of the final fire monster here so he can't add a add one back to hand when I do remove the Unchained monster. Alright, boosting this up so I can beat over this. He can't add anything back because, yeah, I banished the only monster in his graveyard they could add to hand. And yeah, that was just him done. So, yeah, this is an example of a situation where Cocytus is really strong. There's not that many archetypes in the game now that don't have outs to Cocytus. Most archetypes just make a Dingirsu or something. But I think Unchained is actually one of them, just struggles against the card. Also, I think, I definitely had a Shadol game where, it's this one, right, I think? I had a Shadol game where I just summoned the Cocytus and he could not out it whatsoever, which was a pretty funny game. So that's another archetype that seems to struggle against it. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly which other ones do though. There's got to be a few of them. Alright. So going first this time, and we are doing some bullying. So typical sort of setup, Charge Warrior going to be drawing an extra card, summoning the level 1, of course making our level 7 with this. Hitting a Brionac, which is fantastic. Brionac discard, searching Valkyrus, so basically cannot die on our opponent's turn. Summoning out a Caliga. And if you guys don't know what this card does, once my opponent has used one monster effect, that's the only monster effect he could use during the turn. So, very disgusting card. The Floodgate does apply to me as well, but I can just send this thing to the graveyard with my skill at any point if I want to, or just link it off or something. So, it's just a really, really irritating Floodgate. And also hard to beat over if you have Aleister in hand. Alright, painful decision. He's going to Chalice it, so he had an out to it. But, yeah, it turns out he's playing Suship, and Suship, they're not happy to see this card. A lot of their stuff's battle phase reliant, and you just use Nekroz of Valkyrus, and they just cannot do shit. Shari of Red, he tried to use the effect of Suship Uni with this on field. Yeah, unfortunate. Drawing a card. I think this guy just loses his mind in a second, if I remember this duel correctly. He just makes Exciton Knight and nukes the whole field. Yeah, that's a great play. I'm sure he's definitely going to survive this turn. He just concedes. Yeah, so that's an example of a turn 1 setup with this deck. Alright, next one. I think this was also a very similar sort of replay of just setting up the Caliga. Alright. And this, I believe, was actually a mirror match. Apparently this skill lets you use invoke stuff. I think it lets you use spellcasters. So I think he was also playing Aleister. I don't know if this archetype has any water monsters in it though. I don't think it does. Unless there's some extra deck card I don't remember. Alright, clear wing. Then we're going to be preparation of rites, searching your Brionac, discard the Brionac, grab our Valkyrus. Invocation, of course. And there is the Caliga. So he only used one effect, we have a negate, and we have protection for the Caliga. He normal summons Aleister, that's his only effect for the turn. Decides to make a Cocytus using my Brionac, which doesn't mean actually I don't actually have another Nekroz in graveyard, so this also turns off my Valkyrus. But he's also already used all his monster effects, so that's his turn done. He can't do anything else, he just passes his turn. And yeah, we can just normal summon this, use our skill, swap this out, and there's our Dingirsu, which obviously outs the Cocytus very easily, so he just concedes. Alright. So I think something that Nekroz has always sort of struggled with is going first. They don't really have much they can set up. They could put their little level 3 on the field, which can negate things, but it's a very weak turn 1. But so that mostly their only turn 1 play is just add the hand trap to hand, and that is it. At least with Invoked, you can set up that really annoying negate on the field as well. Or not negate, that really annoying floodgate on the field, which a lot of decks are going to struggle to play through. Unless they draw, you know, their eclipses or their whatever, so droplets and stuff. Alright, going second this time, up against a Speedroid player. Alright, so he's going to summon out his Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Been a while since I've seen that animation, actually. Alright, Yo-Yo reviving. These two making the Hagosia to make the Crystal Wing, and he wasn't even done there. Revives the Piper, gets hold of a recovery, and makes protection from a Dark Hole as well, because he has Stardust on field. So that's actually a really scary infield. I assume this last card was probably Lance or something. Alright, Fleur going to be baiting out a negate, so getting rid of the Stardust Dragon early. Normal summoning, Manju searching for the cycle. Swapping in, these three become the Clearwing. Clearwing's like a pretty good choice because it can potentially negate these guys, although these two have a really interesting sort of battle against each other with their negates and how they work. So hopefully we can sort of bait out some more negates. He negated the Necro Synchron, which was... I don't know why he did that. Maybe he didn't want me to go into a level 9 Synchro, or he was terrified I'd make my own Crystal Wing or something. Seemed like a terrible idea though, because now I have full access to my monster effects again. Alright. Ritual summoning out the Nekroz of Brionac. And fun fact about this card's negate, if you didn't know, this thing's, one of its negates is only, its target negate is only for specifically if you target one card, I believe it is. Exactly one level 5 or higher monster. And this thing's targeting 2, so we just get around its negate completely, and when it tries to use the other effect, we have a negate for that. So bounce 2, negating his with mine, and he's dead on field. Alright, so I think that's just a really cool little replay showing going second. Alright, I think we're up to the final replay now, unless I missed one. I feel like I missed a replay here, but anyway. I think this is a very quick replay. So I just wanted to showcase one of the most common thing you do going second with this deck against a lot of people that don't know how this archetype works, or how you do it with Fleur. Because there's a very, very nasty thing you can do with this deck. Thanks to the Fleur skill. So I wanted to make sure to get it in the video so you guys are aware of it. Because it's honestly your more standard going second play. It's kind of boring once you've done it 50,000 times, but it's the main thing you do against opponents that are just not aware. Even if they are aware, it forces them to use Disruption, but they just don't want to use it. Alright, so he's going to be setting up his field, blah 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 blah. Making an Abyss Dweller, which is typically a little bit annoying, but we're fine here. Alright, so this is what you do with this deck. You normal summon any monster, doesn't matter what, just put it on the field, doesn't have to, can be literally anything, could be Aleister, could be just literally anything you can summon here. And then your opponent, right now, they need to respond to this. They cannot leave these 2 cards on the field, because otherwise, if they choose not to respond to this is what happens to their field. Because now I can simply use my skill, they can't respond to this, use my skill again, place a tuner on the field. These 3 become the Synchro monster. And there it is, Trishula. And that's 3 cards non-target banished from the field. So unless he has a droplet here, or a chalice here, or some sort of negate, or a negate on field, he just lost his entire field because he didn't disrupt my normal summon. Disgusting. And Brionac can now search for your blah 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 blah. Nekroz, ritual summon it out, and he's dead on field. Alright, that's a very stock standard turn 2 play you do with this deck. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for today's replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you didn't, leave a like, subscribe, with that kind of stuff. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you see the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.